Hey everybody, Hunter back again from Showtime Studios. Part number 5 of the vinyl top install on the 69 1/12 scale Camaro. We're rolling right along. As you can see, we've already pulled the masking tape off of everything. We have our trim, our new molding all the way around from drip rail to drip rail. We have our folds down through the center. If everybody's followed along to this point, you should be looking pretty much like this. The one thing that I did do after I got the masking tape pulled off is I went in with the scribe that we used in one of the parts, part 1 or part 2, something like that. And I come in and I scribe along all of the new trim, not real deep, just kind of, putting a nice clean edge on everything, all the way around the bottom of the molding. And also all the way around the top of the molding. I'll put that little groove in there, and we've got a step coming up that I'll show you why we're doing that. But to kind of explain it a little bit right now, when you glue this stuff into place and you're using the liquid adhesives on it, it tends to want to melt the plastic, and a little bit of that plastic will squeeze out. Well, when you come around and scribe that, it actually cleans that line up and makes it real nice and crisp, which is what you want. I also came back, and on both sides of the fold, I very lightly run the scribe down both sides of the folds just to clean them up for the same reason, just to make sure we don't have any bumps or any waviness in this fold. Now, anybody that's done a vinyl top, a lot of times, depending on how much you stretch it when you put it on and things like that, the folds won't be exactly dead straight. Other times they will. I know some people, they tend to put a piece of metal right inside of it there when they bend it over to keep it straight. But, try to get them as straight as you can, because on a model, it's going to look better. Even if the 1-to-1 may have a little bit of a wave in it, when you scale that down, it's going to look straight on a model. So, try to get that stuff cleaned up the best that you can. And like I say, all you got to do is just lightly take the scribe and just run it down the line just like that. And, even with that little bit of pressure that I just put on it right there, it kicked out a little bit of plastic. So get all that cleaned up with the scribe, top and bottom of your moldings, both sides of your folds. And then the next thing that we're going to do, and I'm not going to do this on camera or anything because it's just boring and it's very simple to explain. We want to go ahead and prep all of our kit drip rail and moldings around the windows and get them ready for bare metal foil. So I'm just going to go in with a piece of sandpaper, and I'm just going to lightly knock down any of the sharp edges or anything like that that's on the trim. I may even come in with the hobby knife and, do a little bit of scraping on certain areas just to kind of roll everything and make it so it doesn't have a sharp edge on it that'll tear the bare metal foil. But get all that prepped. And the other thing that I did do is I took a piece of sandpaper and I actually folded it over into a half. And after I scribed my lines, I went back through and just lightly sanded top and bottom of all the trim all the way around. And that makes everything nice and clean and gets it prepped for the next stage. And then, like I say, once you get all of your factory trim cleaned up and get it nice and even, and get it ready, so at that point you could be ready to put the bare metal foil on, but we're not going to do that yet. We've got actually the bare metal foil will be one of the last steps that goes on this car, and that'll be after we've already done the vinyl top, and we've already done the paint work, the clear, wet sanded buff. Once all that's done, then we will come back and do the bare metal foil on all the trim. So that'll be one of the last stages on the car. And the other thing that you can do is also go ahead, since you've been working and doing cuts and doing gluing and stuff like that, go ahead and get all of your roof section sanded again and all of your sail panel, this area right through here at the rear cowl. And another thing that I better mention before I go too much further, you have the rear cowl seams right here that went all the way up because this was a hard top. Well, since now we're doing a vinyl top, this part of the seam right here will be covered by the top. So what you want to do is just tape this and take the molding and tape right past the molding here at the window and just go and put a little bit of filler in here and fill that in. If you don't use the tape technique, what's going to happen is your filler is going to collect right here at the moldings, and you'll have to go through and try to scribe that back in. The best way to do it is do it with a piece of masking tape. And I guess while we're kind of doing just a explanation of what the next step is, I'll go ahead and show you real quickly how I would go about doing prepping for filling this little spot. And what we'll do is just take a piece of 1/4 inch wide or 6mm Tamiya masking tape, and we're just going to stick onto the molding right there where the seam is. And I'm going to get my toothpick out here, and I'm just going to lightly fold the tape over the molding. And you don't have to worry about this bottom side, just tuck it down so it stays put, because you're not putting any filler down there. But just basically roll that tape just like that. Now you want to take your number 11 blade and go past the end of your tape and drop it into that scribed line that we put around there. And then once you drop it in there, just pull it towards you and just keep it right in that line, just like that. And then what you'll do is come in, I can get a hold of it here, and we're just going to lift up the end of that Tamiya masking tape just like that. And what has happened now is we now have the edge of that tape down in that groove, nice and clean. Take another piece of tape, come up here on your window trim, stick that down, just like that. Same thing, come back past the end of your masking tape in that groove, pull the blade towards you. And in this case here, we've got this vertical, so we need to do the same thing there. We're going to come down through that. And we'll take that piece of masking tape off. And I don't have much right here. I've got a little slither, I think, is about all I've got left on this side. Yeah, that's actually a tiny slither. There we go, got that out of there. And now you are prepped and ready to go for your filler. So what you can do is go ahead and drop your filler in here. Just keep it right here in this general area. And that way you're not getting any filler down against your molding or down in any of your lines you've already scribed. Once you put your filler on, and before it dries, as soon as you get it down and you get that spot covered, go ahead and grab a hold of the tape, pull the tape away from the filler. And same thing here, if you have the filler on there, just get the end started and pull it away from the filler and let the filler dry, get it sanded out, and you're pretty much good to go. Then go back in and just run the back side of your number 11 in your groove just to clean out any sanding residue or anything like that to make sure that stays nice and clean. And do your final sanding on the roof, which is what I'll be doing here very shortly. And then we'll move on to getting this thing prepped and ready to go over to the booth to get the texture paint put on. And before I go on this video, Steve Courtney came in last night and asked me a question about where do I find the Scale Motorsports texture paint. And it's been a couple of years ago at NNL East. I actually picked it up from the owner of the company at NNL in the vendor booth. And I did notice back during that time, I was looking on the Scale Motorsports website and it was listed. And of course, when we went to NNL East, I seen it on the table, so I went ahead and bought it. And here recently, since I've had 2 cans over here, I haven't looked at the website. And I noticed that last night when Steve asked me, they don't list it on the website anymore. But all you need to do is go in and punch in on Google Scale Motorsports texture paint. And when you do that, there's a bunch of online suppliers that has it available. One of them is Scale Hobbyist. I think you can buy it for like $7.50 a can, and then shipping, which is still going to put you up around the retail of I think it's $11 or $12. But you know, it's still in the same price range. Or if you get a chance to get to a show where Scale Motorsports is there, you can pick it up most likely right at the vendor booth. So that's just something I wanted to pass along to everybody. So if you go to the website, as far as I know, it's not on there. I couldn't find it. So just punch it in on Google, and you'll find several suppliers out there, online hobby shops that have it. So that's about all we've got for part number 5. So stay tuned for part 6 coming up here real soon. And like always, I thank you for watching and supporting Showtime Studios, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.